So we find ourselves sitting on the sofa, just quietly pondering at the end of a day. Now, I'm obviously dying, as I have a very mild cold, which has given me a bit of a cough, a bit of a sore throat. Very much one foot in the grave, really, because being male and middle-aged, any sniffle, any kind of form of cold does really indicate that I could die at any moment. But that's just life, isn't it? As time passes on, we are always 1 foot closer to that grave as we amble through our existence. So, on that happy note, let's just get on with it in case I die. You never know. Well, now, here's the thing. Now, that's a sports team, very good band, did a song called Here's the Thing. So that could be our song for today. If we do a song for today, we don't normally, even though I did do some 80s rap previously. And we've got Here's the Thing. Or if you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, try Sounder the Police by KRS-One. There's another song for you. Just a thought there. Anyway, so yes, I can't remember what I was going to say now. Lost it. Damn. Talked about music. Here's the thing. Statistics. That was what I was going to talk about. Love a statistic. Who doesn't love a statistic? So I've been looking at the Google statistics. I don't know if it's going to work. Are we still recording? Yes, we're still recording. Right. So, on my tablet of magicness, if anyone's wondering, I use a Samsung tablet that was given to me as leftovers. Right. So, not only are we on Spotify, this gets pushed out to Google, onto YouTube. Which is a thing, I suppose, but it's for channel analytics that I love. So on average, people are listening to 1 minute of my podcast before just giving up. So that's quite good, isn't it? But on average, if someone listens to it, they listen to about a minute, maybe 2 minutes. But nothing else. So yeah, I don't actually know if people listen to the whole of a podcast, or it's only 50. For Christ's sakes, some of them are only 15 minutes long. Some of them are only 25 minutes long, and I'm like, seriously, what is it out of your day? You made it into a minute of it, and gone, oh, you know what? This is so boring. I can't be doing this. I'm just gonna YouTube, unless I'm being pushed out to YouTube Shorts. Which make people just going, yeah, fuck that. Nah, sod it. No, we'll try something else. Old man moaning about life. No, skip that. No, skip that. But you never know. Strange things happen to see. Maybe there's just one person who listens to the whole of it, and then everyone else just brings the statistics down. Who knows? But out of the 4 people, but we have 2 subscribers on on YouTube. Which is nice, and we have still yet to have a play. Have we? Hold on, we'll check. We can check it, can't we? We can go and check it. Hold on, please bear with me, listener. That we know doesn't exist because we know there's no listeners, as we've all confirmed. But well, someone did leave a message once on Google and once on Spotify. But do we actually know that they're real? We don't know. Right, let's sign into Amazon. I'm just signing into Amazon. I just blame bots. Have we had any? No. Literally, no one, and not a dicky bird on all time. Let's do all time. Has anyone? No one. Not even anything. No, we're not being pushed in any way on Amazon. Amazon just don't like me. Or maybe I don't know even if actually, to be honest, I have no idea if it's actually being pushed out to Amazon anyway. So maybe I've not actually. Maybe I'm not on Amazon, and I just keep logging in and going, I'm not on Amazon. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Who knows? Oh, who cares? Dashboard. No, literally. I don't like Amazon. It just doesn't help me at all. Nothing. No, I just have an overview. If anyone knows what I'm doing wrong, yeah. No. Nothing. Not a dicky bird. Anyway, yeah, that's a pile of bobbins, isn't it? Bobbins, that's a good word. Love a bobbins. Anyway, right. So where were we? We were reading a book. But that book is actually surprisingly better than I thought it was going to be, so I'm a bit disappointed. So we talked about the odds of people playing music. They were going to make a group of people that listen to music. I can't even make a group of people who listen to this bloody podcast. But hey-ho. Anyway. Outside, the night sky was heavy, with impending snow. I put my coat on and headed for the half moon, arriving at 9 o'clock precisely. James was already there, sitting at the corner, with a pint of Guinness. "There's one for you in the pump," he announced. What, was he too lazy to buy him a pint, man? He knew he was going to arrive at 9. So why didn't he... George was occupied behind the bar, but when he noticed me, he gave me a nod and began to fill a glass. "Have you asked him yet?" I inquired. "No," said James. "I thought I'd wait until it was a bit quieter." Oh, the mysteriousness of it. Do you think if they knew he was going to arrive at 9 o'clock, they'd have a pint waiting for him on the table, if he's that much of a mate? Shocking. The place was fairly busy. In consequence, it wasn't almost until 10 that they managed to have a word with George. He worked hard during the intervening hour, but he must have detected a conspiratorial air between James and me, because he kept glancing in our direction. Well, it's probably because you were staring at him, waiting to find out when he was free, I would imagine. Finally, during a brief hiatus, he came over and spoke to us. "What are you two scheming about?" he demanded. You see, he was looking at them. "Well," said James, "we're wondering if a back room would be available on Monday evenings." "Might be," said George. "Depends what it's for." "We're thinking of starting a donkey show." "No, we're thinking of starting a forensic records society." "Oh, yes." George leaned in closer and lowered his voice. "Police work, is it?" "Of course not," I said. "We mean records to listen to. Music." "There's a dartboard in the corner," said George. "Isn't that enough entertainment?" "It's not quite the same," I replied. "Or you may like to try a game of chess." James ignored the distraction and stuck doggedly to his brief. "Doesn't have to be Mondays," he said. "But we thought it might help provide trade on a quiet night." "How did you know?" said George. Okay, I don't get it, but all right. Despite his bluff response, I could tell he was fairly intrigued by the proposition, especially when he realised he might sell more beer. Oh yeah, get him where his heart is. By the time James had outlined exactly what he envisioned, he'd won the publican over. Oh, publicany. Oh, we're using fancy words today, are we? He told us we could have a back room free of charge for a trial period of 3 months. There was only one proviso. "You won't play them too loud, will you?" "Definitely not," affirmed James. "It will be connoisseurs only." Connoisseur. Connoisseur, you're a connoisseur. Connoisseur, it's just... Connoisseur. Yeah, anyway. We're not interested in excessive volume. Oh, come on. You can't help but crank it up, can you, though? Some songs, you just got to crank up. What, like, bit of death metal? Crank that up. A bit of just stuff, whatever gets your foot beating. You got to a bit of Thumposaurus. Got to turn it up. Turn it up for whack. Sometimes, got to make it go to 11, as they say. It was tempting to qualify this last statement. The question of loudness was entirely relative. Well, yeah, I've got a really loud aunt. But in the event, I decided to let it go. After all, there was little point in upsetting the apple cart at this early stage. Having reached agreement, James delved into his inside pocket and produced a large sheet of paper folded in full. Now, useless fact of the day. You can't fold a piece of paper more than 8 times. Now, that's in halves, not just like folding a corner, but actually in half. You can't fold it more than 8 times, apparently. No matter how big the piece of paper is, you still can't fold it more than 8 times. Now, I think we need to go into the maths on Reddit to ask that question, because it must be due to the thickness and fold radius of the bends, but I don't know. But apparently, no more than 8 times. If you do find that you can do that more, then I would please send the folded bits of paper in a cardboard box to I actually don't care, and I'm glad you spent your life doing that. P.O. Box. Bleh. Okay. Right, anyway. I've prepared an advertisement, he disclosed. Opening up the document and laying it on the counter, the notice was handwritten in red and black felt tip. Forensic Records Society meets here Monday, 9 p.m. All welcome. Bring 3 records of your choice. What would the 3 records be? Now, come on. What would the 3 records be? Let's have a think about this. What would you bring to a record place? Would you go for some comedy value just to upset the apple cart? Like, these were professional people that listen to professional songs who have an interest in music. Would you take, for instance, Benny Hill, the fastest milkman in the West? Or would you take a Beethoven symphony? These are the things. Or would you take a Shakin' Stevens album? Or a Shawaddy Waddy album? Or would you go for something like I imagine I'm going to predict that somewhere in the book they will probably do a Coldplay album or some form of, I don't know, I'm thinking Coldplay, or a bit of Pink Floyd. There's got to be some cliches in this book, I feel it. Anyway, right, apparently James had taken it upon himself to decide the formula. I was slightly surprised that he hadn't bothered to consult with me, especially as it was supposed to be a joint project. There's always one, isn't there? A joint project. There's always one messing it up. There's no team. What was it? There's no I in team, apart from in the A-hole. It only works if you write it in capitals. There you go. You can write... If people are listening to this and have pen and paper, give it a go. Team in capitals, look in the middle of the A, you'll see an I. There you go, you see? So it's the I is in the middle of the A hole, you see? See what we did to that? See, it's meant to be funny. Hear me laugh. On the other hand, I had to admit he'd advised an impressive blueprint. I thought 3 goes per person would provide a nice balance, he explained. Not too many and not too few. Records would be played in strict rotation. Well, yeah, because they're round and they're records. You don't play records... It's not like... They're all at a set RPM. It's not like you speed them up and slow them down. So I presume it's meant to be a kind of thing. Anyway, of course, we should ensure a degree of variety. Obviously, 3 will be no comments or judgments. Obviously, there will be no comments or judgments on other people's tastes. We'll be here simply to listen. Forensic, said George. Correct. I thought I saw a rather sad expression across George's face when he turned away, as he'd heard some unfortunate news. Had no notion what might have caused this, but I made a mental note to be careful in future to treat him with kindness and sympathy. Meanwhile, James went and pinned the notice on the wall. By the way, I said, when he comes back, what are we going to play on them? I already thought of that, he answered. I'll bring along my red portable. James was the owner of 3 portable record players, including a model that was powered solely by batteries. He also possessed a 4-speed auto stacker and a conventional deck with a 40-watt amplifier and twin speakers. Now, I remember as a kid, I really wanted a portable record player. And there was an electrical shop in our village. And it was on the corner of the village. I remember it now. And it was in the window. It was green and white. And I really wanted it. And I wanted it for my birthday or Christmas or something. I remember seeing it and wanting it. It was a battery-powered record player. And it was amazing. And I so wanted to play it. But I had no real vinyl at that point. But I really did want to play it. I really wanted to own it. And then when I did have enough money to buy it, it had been sold. And when I asked who it had been sold to, they said a prisoner. So some prison ended up having a portable record player. I didn't even know they were allowed them in prison. So, the book's upside down. Right, there we go. Right, here we go. Oh, God, we're at 16 minutes. I've only made it past 3. I haven't even made it past 3 pages. He also possessed a 4-speed auto stacker and a conventional deck with a 40-watt amplifier and twin speakers. I'd never known him take any of this equipment beyond the sanctuary of his own home, and again I was impressed by his dedication to a fledgling society. I only hoped that he wasn't going to be disappointed. I'd seen a couple of people idly watch him while he pinned up the notice, but as yet nobody had actually gone over to see what it said. Still, there was plenty of time yet. Today was only Thursday. Interesting. So we've got a date now. We've got a Thursday. And when is it happening? On Monday, isn't it? Yeah. Will you require any sandwiches? Asked George when we departed the pub at 11:30. Well, standard closing hours. Probably not for the first meeting, said James, but we'll have to look at the attendance and let you know. I was pleased to note that James retained some degree of realism. Outside it was snowing. We said good night and went on our separate ways. As I wandered home, I began to consider the options that lay ahead. It struck me that I seldom had the opportunity to impose my choice of music upon other people, except James, especially under such exacting conditions. James had specified that there would be no comments or judgment, but even so, the clinical format made close scrutiny inescapable. Well, that's true, but let's face it, people are always dubious of my music taste. Presumably this was why he insisted on using the term forensic. He later informed me that it derived from Latin forensis, in open court. Ooh, we're doing a bit of Latin. This is a bit highbrow for me, this book. I think we might need to change it. Another book I can't be bothered with, but it's just a bit too highbrow. I knew from experience that James was an impartial listener who had always kept his own counsel. Indeed, I witnessed him sit through the entire length of records which he thoroughly loathed without showing the slightest emotion. Such generosity was rarely reciprocated. There we go. Of course, and I wondered what we're letting ourselves in for. James and I would certainly adhere to the rules, but could we enforce them on others? Only time would tell. In the meantime, I realised I was going to have to be careful when I made my selection. The next few days dragged by slowly, but at last Monday evening rolled into view. I arrived at the half moon early, 8 o'clock, it says in brackets. Okay. And headed, he normally gets there at 9, doesn't he? He's a man of habit. And headed directly for the back room to help James with his preparations. I discovered him trying to manhandle a large round table towards the centre of the floor. "Grab hold of this, will you?" he said, by the way of greeting. he obviously, I presume he's talking about the round table and nothing else. The two of us moved the table into position underneath a light bulb. Underneath there's only one light bulb in this room, and we've placed the table underneath it. I've now got visions of this really dark room, table, light bulb, record player. And then began placing chairs around it. It was the first time I'd been in this room, and as far as I glanced about, I noticed a small, unused bar in the corner, complete with 3 beer pumps. I didn't know we served drinks in here, I remarked. They don't, said James. Haven't for years. Oh, I feel like maybe later on it'll be so popular that they'll be serving beers. A number of tables and chairs were stacked in the other corners, and the room had a definite, forgotten feel about it. Still, the sight of James' red portable was most cheering. He had the forethought of bringing along an extension cable too, and once he plugged it in, we were all set to go. Oh, that'd be awful, wouldn't it? If we would just put it in the middle of the room, and obviously no power. Shocking. We just stared at the record player. This is an interesting album. If only we had a well-working record player. Anyway, what's the time, he asked. 8:05. Is that all? Yep, right, he announced. I'll get a couple of pints and wait for our guests. Oh, I said. You don't think we should have a trial run then? James stood regarding me with a look of mild astonishment on his face, as though he couldn't believe what he'd just heard. Absolutely not, he said. The purpose of these meetings is to raise the art of listening to a higher level. That's why we booked this room in the first place. Otherwise, we might as well go and listen to a jukebox in some crowded dive. The whole idea is to play records under controlled conditions according to a strict timetable. A trial one would completely dispel the sense of occasion we're hoping to engender. I'm really struggling with this book. It's just so difficult to read. It's a difficult to read book, and it is literally going nowhere. You can kind of predict how it's going. It's meant to be, someone is saying this is like a comic writer book, and it's just really funny. But I've not laughed once, and I just kind of feel like it sounds like the what hi-fi meeting, really. I've actually met people like this years ago when I used to be an audiophile. That's why it probably doesn't sit well with this book, because, to be honest, I'd be sitting around that table forcing people to listen to punk on vinyl, which is the best way to listen to punk, by the way. Or like playing some random vinyl that I found, because I still believe that valve amplifiers are good. Apart from D-type amplifier. D-type D-type going into a valve, what's the point? But I'm sure there's loads of discussions on it somewhere on the line, and someone can just read them on Google. We're not going down that route. I can't bring myself to do it. But maybe I find that actually all the people I met for what Hi-Fi or Audio Weekly or whatever audio thing I had to go and talk to people, I feel that these were the type of people that are really into this book and have read it. It's much like what's that Nick Hornby book about the record shop? Oh, I can't remember it. I'll remember it by the next episode, but I'm not going to read that either. We need something a bit more trashy. This is just a bit too highbrow, isn't it? What do you think? I'll tell you what, leave some messages. Or not, because you're not there. No one's there. Anyway, right, I'm going to go. I'm tired. I've got to get up early in the morning. It's Wednesday tomorrow, isn't it? So, middle of the week. But still, time marching on. Right, well, have a pleasant evening, everyone. Or not. Well, everyone. I say everyone, but no one listens, so it doesn't really matter. But I would imagine... I hope you've had your bourbons, I hope you had your wine, I hope you've sat there in your smoking jacket or whatever attire you're required to. Even if it's some leather chaps, I'm sure, whatever it is, you're enjoying your day. I will just now fade away to sleep and ponder on another day. Toodle pip.